Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Idiosyncratic Fables, a part of Wilderness Fire Productions, where we are cultivating the passion for books, audiobooks, and storytelling. Since time immemorial, we have been storytellers. Everybody's got a story to tell, and I want to hear yours. I'm your host, James, and today I am just absolutely thrilled to have a true master of voice on the show, Steve Corona. Steve is a celebrated audiobook narrator known for his work in sci-fi, fantasy, LitRPG, and thrillers. He's also a seasoned actor who's appeared in Breaking Bad, Army of the Dead, The Lone Ranger, and more. On top of that, he's an accent and dialect coach who's worked with A-list talent like Helen, Mirren, and Gerard Butler, a theater artist with an MA in theater arts, and a proud dad who spent years bringing Harry Potter to life for his own kids. In this episode, we're talking about the craft of narration, how to create unforgettable character voices, the wild world of accents and dialects, what it's really like going from on-camera acting to the recording booth, and so much more. Get ready for stories, insights, and plenty of vocal fireworks, folks, because here is Steve Corona. Steve, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, and what a wonderful introduction. I feel cooler than I am by hearing that.
Yeah, when I started diving in and doing my research on you to, formulate these questions, and the, first four genres popped up, match my own favorite genres of sci-fi, fantasy, lit RPG, and thrillers. I went, oh, thank you. It's a man after my own heart. So I'm so looking forward to this interview. So tell us about a bit your journey into voice acting and audiobook narration. What sparked your interest in performance early on?
Oh man, let's see. How far back should we go? Back when I was a wee lad. I'm fourth of five kids, right? So I was the entertainer of the group. I always man, I tell you what, we grew up reading The Lord of the Rings to each other.
Yes.
Yeah, man, back in the 80s, 90s. We didn't have internet. It was like we're sitting around reading stories in the middle of summer, and it was fantastic. And I took on those characters. And sometimes I would ask my siblings, I'm like, hey, can I take your turn reading tonight? And they'd be like, yeah, fine, go for it. You're actually good at it, and you like it. So that was kind of like an early beginning. Also, I read the Lone Wolf books. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Dude, they're so good. It was a choose your own adventure style RPG type book where you had maps, character sheets in the book. They had a table instead of a die to roll that you could blindly point at to determine outcomes in battles. I'm like, this is awesome. And I kept them. And so fast forward to today, that's actually kind of, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure later, how I got more into LitRPG specifically. But yeah, that was kind of my beginnings, is reading those types of books growing up, and playing D&D, of course, with my brother and his friends, and Magic the Gathering, kind of always had that sort of imagination of the fantastical and all these different creatures. But yeah, fast forwarding a little bit into college. I mean, I always kind of had like a, what do you call it? An aptitude for accents and character voice. I would just mimic things I would see in movies or on TV shows, and I just thought, oh, it's just like a fun little thing I can do, just like a little party trick, But then I got to college and was pursuing my acting degree, and I took a dialects class and was like, whoa, wait a minute. You can actually study this, like formally, like break it down into the sounds and the phonemes and the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, and looking at different symbols for different sounds and speech. And it just blew my mind. I was like, whoa, this is cool. My classmates didn't think so. They're like, oh my God, what is this? And I was like, yes. So they're like, okay, freak, teach us your secrets, please. We need to be passing this class, and we are not right now. So, yeah, I just got really excited about it in college and just dove in and head first. And then I'm giving you kind of the abridged version.
Sure.
Moved to New Mexico, where the film industry was booming at the time, 2006, and got in on some movies as a stand-in, as an extra. And I got to know a buddy of mine, Eddie, is a sound engineer. On a lot of the sets, I kept running into him. After a while, we were talking in between, and hey man, tell me about your acting background. And Eddie's the coolest, nicest guy, like real soft spoken guy from New York, and
Yeah,
which is funny because like most New Yorkers are not as soft spoken as he was. But he just really took an interest in me and my acting background. And I told him, I'm like, I really kind of am interested in voice acting. It's something I've always thought about. I just don't know where to start. It was not part of my studies in my theater program. I took one voiceover class. It was like voiceover and film as part of my theater studies, right?
sure.
So they kind of shoehorned it in there. Um, and so Eddie's like, well, man, I happen to have a master's degree in sound engineering and sound theory, and I will help you set up your home booth. I was like, dude, that's epic. So he did. He helped me shop for my equipment, set up my home little studio, standing in my little closet, all cramped up. And that's how I started, man. And, the pay to play sites, trying to audition and get work there. And yeah, think that's a good origin story for you. If you want more,
Yeah,
dive deeper. But
that's really cool. And going back to the college class specifically, um, learning about the structure of dialects,
mm,
man, sign me up. That sounds right up my alley. I mean, you talk about, being called a freak. Well, hey, I'll be one right along with you. The very first thing that came to mind was the scene in the musical My Fair Lady,
mm,
where the guy in, oh gosh, listener, forgive me, I'm flaking on the guy's name, but he was sitting there going over the different sounds of like just the vowels. I'm like, that, and you like see all these little squiggly marks and how they're pronounced and the mouth shape. I'm like, oh, that is just very fascinating. So yeah, that, oh my gosh, I need to find something like that because that's wonderful. So with the college background, now having an MA in theater arts, how would you say that theater training shaped the way you approach your narration?
oh man. We always talk about like there's many roads in, right? There's no one prescribed path, especially in audiobook land. I know people with like hardly any or no formal training in acting at all, and they sort of pick it up as they go. But man, I tell you what, for me, dude, it was so helpful to have that foundation to draw from. And I always tell people, they're like, well, you have a master's in acting. Don't you know the names of all these acting techniques? I'm like, listen, I learned it. It's in there. It's in my brain somewhere. I couldn't tell you what it's called, but I know how to access it when I need it. I know about emotional recall and substitution and, all these different Stanislavski and method and all of these things. Again, I forget the names of them because to me, that's not important. To me, what matters is being able to draw on a tool when I need to use it. So that's been invaluable for me. And I think it's really helped. I think more so in audiobooks really than anything. In film, I think it was more of a hindrance because I had to kind of unlearn certain habits,
Sure,
being too big and broad, projecting for the theater
of
versus
course.
pulling it back and making it a little more realistic for camera. So, yeah, it both helped and hindered at different points along the way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely transitioning from speaking to the back of the house versus to speaking in somebody's ear. Yeah,
Hmm.
totally get it. Um, Now, speaking of your on-camera work, you've worked as a film and TV actor, such titles as, Breaking Bad and Lone Ranger, Army of the Dead, etc. What are some of your most memorable on-set experiences?
Oh, man. Okay. Story time. Here we go.
Grab your
Let's go.
popcorn, folks.
Yes. So, one of my favorite experiences was I was in a little movie called Georgia O'Keeffe about the artist, and I think it was Lifetime or one of these kind of movies. And Jeremy Irons was playing Georgia's love interest. Oh my gosh, I should know his character's name. Anyway, he was Georgia O'Keeffe's love interest, and I was playing one of Georgia's artist friends, who's kind of on the fringe. I had like a couple lines in the whole movie, very minor role. But in one scene, there's an art gallery. George is walking through, and I'm sitting on the side. Oh, Stieglitz, Alfred Stieglitz, I think his name was.
Mm.
And so me and Jeremy Irons are improvising art talk. Early 1900s art talk. I'm like, this is amazing. And so the director Bob Balaban had us. He's like, hey, why don't you guys just like come up with something? Just work on the side for a minute, and when we're ready, you just improvise when we swing past with the camera. was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm just going to improvise with Scar from The Lion King real quick over here, uh, and pretend we're artists. So that was amazing. But so I got to know Jeremy a little bit over the few weeks that I got to film with him. And I never want to come off as like, the weird, creepy stalker, fanboy, whatever fellow actor who just like snuck on set just to get autographs. But I always thought, it's kind of cool as just like a memento for myself when I get to work with big name actors, just to have a little something to look back on. So I asked him, I think a day before I was going to do it, hey, would you mind like tomorrow if I brought something in for you to sign? Would that be okay? He's like, yeah, of course, bring it. Oh, cool, cool. So I go to my local movie store and I'm looking for the Lion King because he was the voice of Scar, for crying out loud.
Right. Right.
But no, Disney's got it locked in the vault. I'm like, come on, man. Curse you. So I'm like, okay, guys, what else do you have that stars Jeremy Irons? And they found me Aragorn and Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Which I bought both of and brought him to sign. And so it's the end of the day. I bring him these things to sign. He signs Aragorn. Oh, yeah, that was a fun movie. It was really cool. And then he unburies Dungeons and Dragons. He's looking at it. He looks at me. He goes, oh, God, that was a terrible movie. And I'm like, no, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I did. The nerd in me, like the D&D lover. I'm like, no, I actually really... No, you don't have to say that. You don't have to be kind. He's like, the director was straight out of college, and he kept telling me, Jeremy, go bigger, go bigger. And I said, really? Really, though? Questioning the director's decision that he wanted him to be this over-the-top, ridiculous, evil wizard. So that was just kind of fun, Jeremy, telling me the scoop behind that movie. But I got the autographs. I still have them there in a pile somewhere. But so that was fun. Listen, I've got a handful of stories. How much time we got?
We have an hour, so we're good.
Story number 2. Listener, are you still diving into your bucket of popcorn?
With extra butter, mind you.
Extra movie butter, yes.
Yes.
So there was that. Let's see what else. Helen Mirren. All right. Helen Mirren. Dame Helen Mirren. So Helen Mirren, she comes to New Mexico. She's doing a low budget film. It's kind of a passion project for her and her husband, Taylor Hackford, who's directing. And but she needs to play the madam of a Nevada brothel. And she's got an English accent. So they're looking for a local dialect coach because they are trying to stay budget friendly. And they had heard about me through the grapevine, and they brought me in for an interview. And so I'm talking to Taylor first because he wanted to make sure I was legit. And he's like, okay, so, I know you don't have much experience, but it says here on your resume that you're currently coaching Gerard Butler. Is that true? And he just like didn't believe me. And I'm like, yeah, Jerry's cool. He's like, mm-hmm. He's like, oh, well, Jerry and I are good friends. We go way back. I'm like, oh, great. Then you should reach out and ask him, And I'm like, buddy, you're not calling my bluff because I'm not bluffing. I really was working with him. And so he's like, okay, yeah, we'll see. Okay, great talking to you, whatever. Kind of dismissed me. I'm like, all right, so
Sure.
Talk to you later then, I guess. So I left, and the next day I'm back on set working with Jerry. And he gets a phone call. He's like, all right, hold on. I got to take this. And he steps aside, but still within earshot. I'm looking around like, should I let him have some privacy? But then I hear right away, I'm like, oh, he's talking to Taylor. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He's calling in my reference, right? And Jerry's shooting the breeze. I didn't quite hear the conversation. I did kind of walk away. He comes up to me. He's like, that was Taylor. And he's wondering if he should hire you to dialect coach Helen. I'm like, and? What'd you tell him? He's like, I told him, I don't know. He's a little bit inexperienced. He's a bit of a wanker. I'm like, no, you didn't say that. He's like, I'm just messing with you. I told him that he should definitely hire you. It'd be a great decision. I'm like, thank you. Totally screwing with me. So then I got to work with Helen, and it was spectacular. Yeah.
Man, talk about a rewarding experience there. That's really cool.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy.
So,
yep.
Now that you're, married man, kids of your own, and you're now reading the Harry Potter series to them with distinct voices, tell me about that. How would you say that influences your narration style?
Oh, man. All right. So I had heard, I think my wife told me some study she read somewhere that babies in utero could start to hear and recognize voices from the outside at about 3 months in gestation. And so I heard that right about that time. I was like, ooh, she's been cooking for about 3 months. My daughter will emerge into the world knowing my voice. All of them. And so I was like, well, listen, Harry Potter, I love the books. I'm going to read my kid Harry Potter, all 7 books. Let's go. We got months to do this, right?
Of course, of course.
So I did. I started reading to my daughter every night. And at first, my wife's like, oh, that's sweet. That's cute. After a while, she was getting tired of it. She's like, wait till I'm asleep, please, before you start. Like, I can't handle your Dumbledore voice, your Hagrid voice. She's like, just let me sleep first, and then you can read quietly to our daughter. All right, all right. So I'd be reading late into the night, Harry Potter, and then I finished. It was a close call, man. I almost didn't do it, but before she was born, I finished book 7. Like in the delivery room. I'm like, oh, hold on a second. Don't
Don't
the baby
push yet. Don't push.
The end. Now she can be born. So yeah, I read all 7 of them before she was born. And then when she was born, I was very busy. My hands were full keeping her, alive. And then shortly after, my son was born, not quite a full 2 years after. And I thought, well, hold on. Let's do this again. So I'm holding baby Ava and I'm reading to her, but I'm also reading to my unborn son as well. I'm like, listen, I'm an equal opportunity father. So I'm going to read to him too. So same thing. He comes out having heard all 7 books in utero. And then I'm raising them both and my wife is at work and I'm like, thinking, what can I do to keep them entertained that also I would enjoy? Hey guys, let's read Harry Potter again. So I read them 3 times. So Ava, yeah, actually both of them had heard them twice at that point. I got through all 7 books with them after they were born. And they're wee babies and they don't remember it. I think later on I came back and did it a 4th time. But, yeah.
I love that. Similar with me, not, in utero with my kids, but, and not Harry Potter either, but I read the entirety of all 7 books of the Chronicles of Narnia to my kids.
Nice.
And distinct voices. And man, what an experience. I mean, it was just so cool to have my kids, pop their little heads up with it. Like, oh, that's Aslan speaking. Or, oh, that's Uncle Andrew. Like, yeah, it was, so much fun.
Absolutely.
So, with distinct voices and learning and teaching new accents, how do you approach that? Any tips for aspiring narrators or actors on mastering these dialects quickly and authentically?
Yeah, that's something that's kind of a bit of a, I don't want to say like hot topic, but something that is debated in the industry. And I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but I'll say this. I'll say that there are multiple schools of thought.
Ah,
Um, how I learned dialects and accents in grad school is very academic indeed. We use the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet. There's a lot of transcribing things and just a lot of book work. And that's great. It does help, but it's very time consuming and laborious, right? And then I learned as a dialect coach, you don't always have the luxury of time. Um, Especially when I'm thrown into the mix on a movie and they're like, sorry, you get no pre-production. You're meeting your actor today on set and they're going to be filming. You need to teach them like in a matter of minutes how to do this. So I'm like, okay, let's start looking for, I don't know if shortcuts is the right word, but how can I quickly, efficiently teach someone to speak the way that their character needs to sound?
yeah.
And so I would look for that and mimicry is part of it. Let me demonstrate. You repeat after me. Gerard Butler was great at that. He'd be like, all right, say my lines. And I would say it. And he'd repeat after me. I might make a little tweak. And he would literally turn around and be like, all right, let's go. And he would tell the director and they're like, action. I'm like, dang, okay. We're moving fast, right?
Yeah.
But then, and I learned everyone learns differently. Helen Mirren, very, very studious. She reminds me of my daughter a lot. She's like a bookworm and she's like, let's dive in. I'm very visual. Let me see all the things in front of me. Give me worksheets, give me homework. So, and there I did have the luxury of time. We had some pre-production time to work. So that was great. But a lot of times you don't have that, I'll come in
Right.
and coach theater companies and we're working with multiple actors in multiple accents. And it's like, okay, here's some quick pointers. So what I learned over time is this. Let me distill it down to, especially in audiobook land, when a solo narrator voices entire worlds of characters. How do you do that? You look for a handful of things that you can reproduce fairly easily, whether it's the sounds of the accent, but even there, it's not like a full deep study that you might do in a classroom setting to really master the dialect. It's like, all right, so if I roll my R's, I sound a little bit more Scottish. Okay, great. What about, so there's maybe 2, 3 key sounds that you might hone in on.
Right.
There's the cadence or the intonation, right? So now if I'm doing Scottish accent, but I'm using an American, cadence, it sounds sort of weird. But now all of a sudden, if I'm going like I'm bringing back my the placement, I'm bringing it back a bit more throaty. Now that sounds a bit more Scottish as well. It's a bit more guttural. Also, I'm leaning into more of a wee bit of a different speech pattern. We've got like downward and upward inflections and all that, right? So now we've got the speech patterns, we've got the placement, we've got the accent.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we've got a couple different tools to play with. And I say, if you can nail a couple of those good enough to most of your readers are going to be like, oh, yeah, totally. That character is from Scotland or Russian or, German or whatever. Great. That's good enough. I hate to use that because it's like I'm sort of a perfectionist on one hand,
Right.
but at the end of the day, we don't have months and, years to do one audiobook. We got to learn how to distill it down quickly, find the essence for that one character, record a sample so you can return back to it later, build your catalog of characters, and
Exactly.
onward we
Because
go.
with you and I as narrators, we have a few weeks at most per audiobook. And
Mm-hmm.
that's including, prep time, reading through the manuscript, building the characters, building their voices, and then reading it again to make sure you have the gist of the whole story, and then you record it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the
Absolutely.
things.
Not a lot of time to do a lot of work.
No. Now, with the wide range of accents you have listed on your website, this may not be a fair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Which one is your favorite?
Ooh. Yeah. Favorite is so subjective. Um, I tend to, okay, how I look at it is which ones do I do most often and do I
Mhm.
enjoy doing? But I don't know. I could list off 10 that are my favorite for different reasons,
Sure.
but I would say I do Scottish an awful lot. Maybe because I'm fairly good at it and I worked with Gerard Butler and he sort of
Right.
rubbed off on me a little bit. So yeah, I love a good Scottish accent and it served me
Mhm.
well in audiobook land. Um, German is very fun as well. I love a good German character.
Mhm.
German, Scottish, what else? I mean, of course, we're going to do our handful of different various British accents. You've got like your more posh upper class British, and then you've got like your Cockneys and things like that. It's a bit more looser. Yeah, British accents, Scottish, German. I don't know what else. I don't use it as often, but I really like a good kind of slow, almost Sam Elliott kind of like a
Yeah.
Texan Western cowboy sort of thing. So for me, that's fun. I get to kind of dip into that deeper register and do the cowboy thing. Don't do that much, but I do enjoy it when I do it. What else? Those are some of my top favorites. Like I said, it's hard to nail down just one,
It is.
James.
It
It's a
is.
hard question,
I told you it wasn't gonna be fair. It's almost like picking a favorite child.
right? Tell them to their face.
Right, right. But yeah, it's very similar for me. I often, take the tour of Europe with my dialects and pick
That's
my favorites or the ones that I go to the most often. And then I've got, the German and the Russian. Every now and then, if I'm feeling in the mood, I can kind of get a Vietnamese, which is a weird hybrid between
ooh,
Chinese
yeah.
and French. I did that actually for a Vietnam era war book.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, Golly, the name escapes me, but I did the first three books in the series, all from the perspective, fiction, of course, from a chief warrant officer who was thrown into the mix, trying to get his bearings, and then gets captured by some
Ooh,
of the Viet Cong. So, learning how to get that dialect down and precise was actually kind of fun.
right? It's a fun challenge.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what you said, a lot of my tips and tricks to learn those dialects actually has to do more with my mouth placement and likewise
Mhm.
jaw placement.
Yeah.
Like if my go-to jaw placement, and this isn't, synonymous for everybody, but I tend to stiffen my lower jaw and kind of thrust it out forward a little bit, and then boom, I've got Irish. And I just
Mhm.
kind of keep it locked there. And then, like you said, the different inflections, you go up, you go down. And then when I'm back in narration, kind of, relax the jaw and everything's fine.
Mhm. Absolutely. Same thing with the jaw movement. I always tell people for German, it's very sort of active. I feel like my jaw is sort of moving forward and backward a lot, you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep. I've got a little leg up there. I spent 4 years in Bamberg, Germany. When I
Oh,
was with the 173rd Airborne with the United States Army. And
whoa.
we would
Awesome.
go downtown. We go to places like the Irish Pub and the Green Goose. Loads of fun. Yeah. Yeah. A
That's
lot of fun with the
spectacular.
German.
That's awesome, man.
Now, talk to us about our favorite genres: sci-fi, fantasy, lit RPG, thrillers, that you specialize in those. What draws you to those particular genres, and how do you prepare for the technical elements like action scenes or world
Mm.
building?
Yeah. Okay. So remember earlier I was talking about those lone wolf books, man. So what I
Yeah.
love about genres like lit RPG, fantasy, sci-fi, it really makes me feel like I'm reliving my childhood and all the magic and the fantasy of going to the movies and seeing these stories come to life in front of me and imagining like, oh, how cool it'd be if I were there, if I could, have this special magical ability, if I had the cool gear and I was fighting aliens or whatever. And so my imagination was very active as a kid. And I think most of that has stayed with me over time. So it really is fun for me. It's like a playground. Like, all right, cool. We get to dive in and play and inhabit this world and take on these characters. And so it's really, really fun for me to do that. Um, but yeah, going back to the Lone Wolf books, man, that is one of the earliest memories I have of really diving into what I would call sort of early lit RPG, before
Okay.
the genre was even really a thing. And so I remember a few years back, I was on Clubhouse and people were doing some live readings, and I thought, oh, that looks like fun. And I really wanted to get into lit RPG because I think it had just begun, maybe a year or two before I wanted to dive in. I was like, ooh, I just discovered this new thing, and I want to be a
Right.
part of it. So I was like, what can I do that's just good practice for me to get into that genre? But also, hopefully, maybe someone recognizes, hears me doing it, and is like, hey, you should come on over here and let me cast you in a book. Um, so I pulled the books off the shelf and I was reading them live, and I had live interaction with the audience. It was really cool. We get to a pick your path moment. And I'm like, okay, guys, which one should we do? And they would chime in and tell me. And I'm like, all right, we're going to page 364 because that's what you guys chose. And then we would do that. And it was just so much fun for me to do that. And I learned a lot about that sort of genre and what people enjoy about it, sort of listener expectations, right? And I started listening to a lot of them too. I'm like, okay, Dungeon Crawler Carl, let's go. Or whatever, he who fights with monsters, all these kind of bigger,
Oh
well-known
yeah. Oh
series.
yeah.
So I started diving in. That was my education. I'm like, all right, what do they do well? What are people responding to? Let me look at some of the comments from the fans. What do they love about it? What can I incorporate from that into my own work? Um, and so I feel like I've gone off the rails a little bit on your question. So I apologize. Steer me back, James. What am I what
Nope.
am I answering? Um,
Nope. You did not go off the rails.
okay.
Yeah. Pretty much nailed that one. And actually dovetails perfectly into my next one. Specifically with lit RPG, what would you say the biggest challenge in narrating lit RPG or even cultivation fantasy titles specifically?
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like that's kind of a two-parter. So let me hit the lit RPG first.
Yeah.
Um, what's most challenging about it? What's most difficult? You know, it's funny because everyone's sort of like, I think there's going to be a panel about this at Lit RPG Con about
I
the system
yes.
voice, right? Like, what is that supposed to sound like? Everyone kind of has their own idea about what that should be. And so early on, I kind of adapted this sort of, like female sort of AI kind of a voice for it. Like almost not exactly a British accent, maybe something almost like a transatlantic, just sort of like a really well articulated, almost general American somewhere in the middle. But that sort of like soft, artificial, synthetic. And I'm like, over time, it's sort of evolved. And thankfully, in this latest series, I just started NPC, non-player character, just did book one. And I love that the author gave me the specifics of, in the text, it sounded like a male, kind of artificial intelligence voice. I'm like, okay, at least I've got the gender is male now.
Yeah, some direction to go off of.
Yeah, some direction. So it wasn't just, it's up to you. So I think the system voice a lot of times can be tricky. How do we make it sound like not just like that old school robot voice and, disjointed words, because that can really be jarring on the ears. I didn't want
Yeah.
that. I want it to be a little smoother, a little more articulate, but still have that kind of AI, kind of computerized essence, if that makes sense. For me, that's one of the biggest challenges is this is the stupid system voice. And okay, we've got our stat blocks, right? We've got our okay, now we need to stop for 3 pages and then read through the character sheet.
Yep.
I, as a nerd myself, I find it fascinating. I'm like, cool. All right, we're tracking. He's gone up in these stats. He's got these new items, new abilities. I think it's fun and cool. So I lean into that. Some narrators, I think, just like speed through just to get through it. I realize I'm like, well, it's maybe not as exciting as the action happening. So let's get through it. Let's not linger. But at the same time, like, I'm enjoying it. So I want that to come through as well. Like, all right, cool. Now we're into the abilities. Now we're into the special items he's got, I think that answers that part.
It does.
Cultivation Fantasy. Let me jump on that real quick. So I did this 11-book Cultivations Fantasy series. It's funny how that came about, even if I can, real quick tangent. I auditioned for a 4-book LitRPG series and didn't get it. I was in top 2. The author went a different way. But the publisher's like, we got this 11-book Cultivation Fantasy series. I think you should do that instead. And I was like, okay. And it was new to me. I'm like, I got to real quick do some research on this genre. I do not know what it should be like. And it ended up reminding me like a lot of the animes that my college roommate would watch.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense to me. That clicks in my brain. So that's kind of how I approach narrating that series, is like, it's like an audiobook anime. A lot of kind of very similar over the top characters, larger than life, a lot of like martial abilities, a lot of hand to hand combat with superpowers. And Asian accents, which at first was a little uncomfortable because there's that whole conversation. Well, he's a white guy doing Asian accents. How dare he? And I'm like, well, but the main character though still sounds like me, and it's his POV. And the author's like, I love what you're doing for the old Chinese grandpa. Do that. I'm like, okay, as long as you're cool with it.
Yeah.
So again, and I always approach that too with respect, and like, I never want to be a caricature or make it sound like I'm making fun of them.
Sure.
So I think the challenge there was kind of wrapping my mind around, what do people want to hear? What do they want out of this experience, and trying to deliver on that.
I love that. I'm actually in, I think, close to the tail end of a series. It's a portal progression fantasy series. Been a lot of fun to narrate that one. And I'll pick your brain more about one of the publishers after when we go backstage.
Cool.
How would you say you handle pacing, emotion, and tension in your narration?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I've got a few.
Yeah, and you mentioned a second ago, like fight scenes, action sequences, things like that. I think those are particularly a little tricky as far as, like you mentioned, with energy and pacing and things like that. I think the tendency is it's exciting. It's all of a sudden, naturally, the pace picks up a little bit. They're walking through town and, oh my God, now we're in a battle. And things, the adrenaline gets up and you want to speed up a little bit. So the challenge is like, I got to pull the reins back, especially in like those key moments of like, and then he swung in that downward arc and lopped his head off. It's like, I want that to go nice and slow. And let's visualize this happening almost as if it's in slow motion. So I personally believe very much in trying to give a varied performance in all aspects. I want to give as many vocal dynamics as I can. I want my listeners to be engaged and want to listen for more and get done with the chapter and be like, oh man, I need to listen to another chapter now, right?
Right.
So I feel like that's my job. That's my responsibility to the listener, and to not give them just a one note So I try, as far as pacing, energy, volume, to give fluctuations where it's appropriate throughout every scene, but especially in those high paced, energetic, battle scenes and things like that. So it's a constant struggle. Sometimes I have to stop and go back and be like, I rushed through that whole thing. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Is too fast for too long. Um, Parts of it I think need to ramp up, but then we got to have those moments of the payoff of like, ooh, satisfying punch to the face or whatever it is. Yeah, take that, villain. I want the listener to be cheering along and like, yeah, he got him. So that's kind of how I approach that, if that makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense. The audiobook industry as a whole has grown rapidly over the years. What changes have you seen in the recent years, and what advice would you give to authors who are looking to hire a narrator?
Hmm. Great question. The changes that I've seen, gratefully, I think overall narration style has kind of started leaning towards what I've been doing all along anyway. I found it a little bit difficult at first. Honestly, you should look at, I've got a spreadsheet of my audiobooks like per year. I had like 2 books my first year, 5 books, I was struggling just to get them on the calendar. And then like
Yeah.
something clicked, I think both with, I found kind of my niche in the industry where my voice works well, my particular skill set works really well in these genres and subgenres. But also, like, I think the industry has sort of, like you said, sort of shifted into a little bit more of a slightly, I want to say, like, bigger performance style. Like I said, my perception of what my job was as a narrator from the very beginning was I need to grab my listeners' attention right away. And that doesn't necessarily mean I have to like be in your face and jump out with volume and energy right off the bat. You can grab someone's attention with quiet,
Oh,
stillness.
yeah.
That's another way to grab attention. However I'm doing it, I feel like it's my job to grab your attention somehow and take you on this wild ride through the whole book, following and respecting, of course, the author's words that they put down for me, the roadmap, the story. But I'm the guide, and I want to take you on a fun journey that you don't want to get off of. Um, And so I think the industry has sort of shifted that way a little bit. It used to be more, everyone used to use, subtle. We need more of a subtle accent. And I'm like, yeah, but why though? Like, if it's so subtle, it's hard to tell which character's talking. I want to be able to tell right away, oh, yeah, that's clearly this character. That's clearly this character. Um, that's me as a listener and as a performer. I've always had that preference. And it feels like it's starting to lean a little bit more towards that, which is great. I'm like, yes, finally. And what advice would I give to authors looking for
Yes.
narrators? Was that the question? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, well, a couple things. One, oftentimes, unfortunately, you do get what you pay for, right? There are different payment structures, that are available that people can do royalty share or take a lower rate. That's all individual and up for negotiation. But there are industry standards. There are, I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA, and there are union minimums that they really encourage us to get at least that. And there's reasons for that. There's the years of training that went into that performance, right? There's the experience, the personal skill set that you bring to it. If you can do 40 accents in a book, which I have, um,
Yeah.
you should be paid accordingly because not everybody can do that. AI can't do that. Bring it on, AI. Um, you know, so there's that. You kind of get what you pay for. Do your due diligence. Ask around. Check with multiple sources. Don't just go to one person and be like, okay, you sound good enough. It's not good enough. You put hours of your life, weeks, years into writing this book. Make sure you get the narrator that's right for telling the story.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like that commercial. What is it? Good enough is not good enough or something like that?
right. Make
Yeah.
sure it's the best it can be. What else? What else? Oh, and there's the depending on your genre, especially it seems like in Romancelandia, but other genres that have dual and duet narration, check with, maybe the female or the narrator, whoever you're hiring first. Hey, do you have recommendations? Who would you like to work with? Who have you worked with before? Because, word gets around there. Unfortunately, we're not all created equal as far as being easy to work with and all those types of things. So get recommendations. Ask around for people that you already like and trust. Um, Talk to other authors who have already done audiobooks. Hey, what was your experience like? What are different options as far as distribution? All of that.
Yeah,
Ask around, get info.
I love that. For the authors and writers out there considering self-publishing audiobooks or even working with platforms like ACX, Podium, etc., what should they look for in a narrator collaboration?
Hmm. I mean, communication is always key, of course. So I personally, if I'm ever offered anything on ACX, I reach out right away. I want to make sure it's legit. I want to make sure this isn't a pirate pretending to be the author, that it's not AI pretending to be a real human.
Exactly.
Um, and so I ask for a conversation, whether that's a voice, let's get on a call, even that, can be spoofed, I suppose, but I feel more comfortable talking to a human voice and verifying, asking questions, um, but even in an email exchange, if they can answer certain questions, and you can kind of look for red flags there, and the shoe's on the other foot as well for authors reaching out to narrators.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, there's people out there scamming authors as well, pretending to be seasoned narrators or whatever. So yeah, do your due diligence, communicate, ask the questions.
I love it.
Yeah,
Let's take it beyond audiobooks. You've co-written a Sherlock Holmes play and performed in it. Any
yeah,
other
I did.
creative projects or dream roles on the horizon?
Oh man. First of all, I gotta say it was super cool being able to. I've played both Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes, which a very small number of
Ooh,
actors in the world can say that they've played both. So that's pretty cool for me. Any other dream projects on the horizon?
yeah.
Not yet, but you never know. There's
Mwahaha.
always connections to be made. So I always look for opportunities wherever they present themselves, and we shall see. We shall see.
Fantastic. What books or authors have you most enjoyed narrating recently?
Ooh, that is a tricky one. Books or narrators that I've most enjoyed. I mean, I'm so into LitRPG right now, so I'm really loving. Like I said, I just did book one of this new series, NPC, non-player characters. So Tyler Lenz, the author, he's been really cool. I've been able to chat with him on social media a little bit, and yeah, I'm liking the direction that book is going in. I think it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of opportunity to play with the characters. Um, Oh, the Master of the Tower series has been really, really fun. John Cressman, he's my author for that. He'll be at Lit RPG Con. I'm excited to chat with him about that for a little bit. Yeah, I'm just so into Lit RPG these days. So my mind kind of tends to wander over into that playground.
Honestly, mine too. I'm getting ready to start next week on Monday, matter of fact. The sixth and final book in the Elsewhere series, written by Doug Losey, who will
Nice.
also be at the con, and he's a panelist too. So I'm
Awesome.
really looking forward to that.
We should definitely introduce each other to our authors.
Quite
Yes.
so.
Quite a little cross promotion. Yes,
I dare say, be a smashing time.
indeed.
All right, got some lightning round questions for you.
Uh
Are you ready?
oh. I'll try to be.
Favorite accent to relax with?
Ooh, probably a nice British.
Most surprising feedback from a listener?
Ooh. Someone once said that they thought I sounded like AI. And on the same book, other reviewers are like, what are you talking about? His accents are amazing. So,
Book you wish you could narrate but haven't yet.
Harry Potter. But they just did the whole, full cast. I'm like, well, that's never
Yeah.
happening then.
Right.
So, yeah, dream
Favorite
quads.
favorite kind of sandwich?
Peanut butter and pickle. Don't knock it till you've tried it. A little sweet, a little crunchy, a little salty.
For the listeners out there, my mouth is hanging open while my jaws dropped because I haven't tried that sandwich combination yet.
Do it especially good with crunchy peanut butter.
Oh, I'm
A
a
little extra
sucker for
crunch.
crunchy peanut butter.
Come on.
Man, okay.
Try it
All
and tell
right.
me afterwards.
Okay. Now, for my own personal curiosity, and maybe for those that are listening to, any specific kind of pickle that has to work with the peanut butter?
I mean, you could probably do whatever, but I like a good, just a good kosher dill, because you get
Okay.
that kind of brininess. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know they've got, the classic dill. They've got the bread and butter,
Mhm.
sliced. They've got the sweet heat ones. They've got the garlic pickles out there. So I'm
I
trying
probably
to
wouldn't go with too much of a sweet pickle with the peanut butter. I think then it might be too much sweetness. I like the
yeah,
contrast of the sweet and a little sour. Yeah.
gotcha. So now I'm trying to figure out what I have in my fridge.
He's like, "Do I have the ingredients for this?" Hmm.
So it's quite possible.
I know what you're having for lunch.
All right. Two more questions to close it out for us. What's
Let's go.
next for you? Any exciting upcoming releases or goals for 2026 and beyond?
Oh man, I'm doing another really fun LitRPG series. It's called The Boundless Expanse, and I'm going to be jumping into book 3 of that post LitRPG Con later in July. And it's set to have, I think, about 8 books. So we're jumping into book 3. A lot of fun in that one ahead. There's multiverse stuff happening. Just saying, just to tease that
Sweet.
a little. Yeah. So that'll be a fun project.
I love it. And then finally, where can listeners find your work? And more importantly, how can authors or aspiring narrators connect with you?
Absolutely. I mean, there's always the, Audible or wherever fine audiobooks are sold. Just type in my name under the narrator, Steve Corona. Or you can go to my website, coronaproductions.org/audiobooks, and you can find samples of my work there. And that's also where people can click on the little email me button and reach out to me there.
Fantastic. Steve, this has been such a treat to have you on the show. Just pick your brain and express our nerdiness together. I've loved every single minute of it, man. Thank you.
Likewise, it's been a blast. Thanks so much.
And thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, I ask that you please rate it, review it, and subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts. It would help me to reach more storytellers just like you. You're also welcome to drop me a line on social media or even send me an email directly about who you would love to hear next, or more importantly, if you would like to be on the show. Also, I host a Discord server where I showcase my behind the scenes work of audiobook narration. I invite you to click the link in the show notes because I would love to have you as a part of that community. And as always, everybody is worthy of love. Everybody is worthy to be heard. Everybody has a story to tell. And I want to hear yours. So until I talk to you next time, dear listener, peace be with you.